All right, someone mentioned that if I was going to do movie reviews, that I should use a number, but it's subjective. Now, you can take a movie like this one, big, and you mention it at a party, and there's men and women there, and they'll talk about it. Now, there are people that don't like Tom Hanks for whatever reason, but for the most part, it was a funny movie, and then someone is going to mention the piano scene. Of course, there are those people that watch an entire movie and all they get out of it is one scene. They're out there. So then you take another movie, and I had watched That 70s Show. So I knew Mila Kunis was in it, in this movie. And it's sort of raunchy. And this is the unrated version of Ted. And I bought it, and it's funny. But at some point, you're like, uh, you think you're watching sort of The Simpsons. And I think the voice of the bear is somebody from The Simpsons. Well, anyway, it's a good movie, but it's not a great movie. So then at some point, you're at a yard sale, and now we got Ted 2. Now, I used to feel as though remakes and part twos and stuff of movies, they were a waste of time. I'm not changing my attitude. Waste of time. It's funny. It's got some funny parts in it, but it's not a good movie. It doesn't make good. It's just sort of a watchable movie. Now, here's a movie where guys will watch it. The Bucket List. Morgan Freeman, Jack Nicholson. And a lot of people just don't like Jack Nicholson. Some people might not like Morgan Freeman. But it's mostly a guy movie. And it starts off in the hospital. They're both dying. And they realize there's things they wanted to do. And the one guy's got a lot of money. He says, let's go off and do it. Don't want to tell you any more about it. It's a pretty good movie, but it's a guy movie. If you're sitting with a woman, I'm bored. I don't want to. Yeah, that's what you'll get. Now, this movie is a hoot. Now, you can tell it's pretty well worn out. I got this at the yard sale in my neighborhood. And just by the sleeve, the wear on the sleeve, they must have watched it a lot. Now, it's a hoot. Now, it's Jimmy Fallon and Queen Latifah. And she's a taxi cab driver. And there's stupid stuff in it where you have to just accept it. You know, she rides a bicycle through the city, and it's a race against time. And she's jumping over stuff and driving through buildings, and you have to accept that. It's a hoot. There's certain things in it you can't question, and you just sit there and try to enjoy it. All right? And it's probably not a movie women would want to watch. Now, this movie here, okay, so Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan. Uh, I really liked the way Meg Ryan used to look. And this is one of those movies where it's very sad in places. It's not really a comedy. It's a romantic. They call it a rom-com, but it really isn't. The funny parts don't outweigh the serious stuff. All right, but in other words, I showed you the other one I had. This is Sleepless in Seattle. When Harry Met Sally, but it's Billy Crystal. Very good movie. Now this movie here is more of kink, but it was before 50 Shades of Grey. And I saw it on the independent channel. I'll make sure it's still recording. I had a satellite dish, and there was this independent movie channel, and they played this while it was still in the theater, and I got to see it. It's very unique. It's kinky, different, and it's probably not a movie women would want to watch. Some would, some wouldn't. All right? Now, when you totally make a mistake. Here's a mistake movie. It cost me $1, less than $1 at the yard sale. And I had seen this on television. Just it was opening. I had to do something else, But in other words, they were introducing the characters, and it seemed interesting. Well, somebody said after 20 minutes it becomes poison. All right? Now, what is the all-time best movie ever made? Now, the critics and the really well-educated will say Citizen Kane or Gone with the Wind. Right? Gone with the Wind? Yeah. So, Citizen Kane, everybody says Rosebud. And Rosebud is the sled. And he's playing as a little kid on the sled Rosebud. And a car pulls up and they take him away to be educated and to become Citizen Kane. In other words, he's never happy in his life. He just becomes greedy. And when he's dying, his last words are Rosebud. And he's laying there thinking about the last time he was happy. And he was on his sled that he named Rosebud. And that's the part of the movie that you'll understand. Now, I always mention the book, Babbitt. I read it, cover to cover. Somebody told me something at the dairy. This girl at the dairy said to me, read Babbitt. So I read Babbitt, and I have trouble reading. I have to read each page 3 times. I sat in an air-conditioned room on a recliner chair. I read so many pages every day. Now, it's very descriptive. You actually get in the brain of Babbitt and how wealthy he is and what he thinks about other people. And then he goes through a midlife crisis. And then he changes his mind. But what the girl wanted me to see was at the very end of the book, this is a spoiler alert, the old man goes through so many changes and midlife crisis, and his son doesn't want to go to college. He wants to be an auto mechanic. And the father, having gone through all this crap, cheating on his wife, there's a lot involved in it. He says, if you want to be an auto mechanic, that's what you'll be. And that's what the girl wanted me to understand, that sometimes what you want to be in life is what you should be versus what you get sucked into. All right? And so I read this book, and it's considered the hardest read book there is. It's very hard to read because it's very descriptive, boring, descriptive, boring. All right? And I read it, and I got into it. I got into it. Him and his best friend go camping every year. He waits all year to go camping with this guy. And his best friend beats up his wife. He goes to jail. He goes to the guy's wife and tries to get her to recant her testimony so he can get his best friend out of jail. He goes to this camping with this new guy, and he goes, we used to run down to see who could get to the lake the fastest. And he's trying to bring back the magic that he had with his friend, and he can't, and the friend's in jail. And that was one of the things in the book. I don't ruin it for you, but it's very descriptive. And he starts to realize a poor guy of some nationality wanted to join a club, and they didn't want him in there because he was of a certain nationality. And then Babbitt starts realizing he's in with some really horrible people. But see, he's rich, and these other guys are rich, and they're calling all the shots. And then what happened with Babbitt? He got involved with the woman that did his nails. It's sort of like Frasier, with the one Frasier brother, Niles, with Daphne. It's sort of that, and that's what they might have. Anyway, that's what that book's about. It's about a guy going through a midlife crisis, very wealthy, and the book opens up. He's driving in a car, and that's my building there. In his head, that's my building. It's the best building in the whole city. And everything. I have the best watch, the best car. But then at some point he realizes he's not happy. And that's a hard read book. And if you get into it, which I did, and I understood it, but Citizen Kane, I don't know how many, if I made it an hour into it, and maybe parts of the end, and then Gone with Wind, no way. No way. The funniest part is Carol Burnett coming down with the curtain rod, and she turned the curtains into a dress. They're doing a spoof on Gone with the Wind. But I just want to tell you, movies are subjective. You know, I did this movie before, and I rechanged what I did. I went off on a rant. And the good, bad, and the ugly. You're in a room full of guys, and you mention that. And maybe one a-hole will say that's not that great of a movie. and A Fistful of Dollars is not that good. One idiot, but women don't even know what the hell you're talking about. That's what you have to understand. So you just can't put a number on a movie because it's, in my case, would be my point of view. Like Office Space, I that's a cult following movie, and I can go walking around and I can meet a girl that's getting ready to go into work, and I'll say, "Do you have your red stapler for today?" And they know just what I mean. See, if you've never seen Office Space, there's so many little things, jump to conclusions, uh, but too much, you don't have enough flair on, and there's all these little statements. If you never saw a movie, you won't get. And then you have to have worked in a cubicle section, and I did. I had cubicles, but I worked on electronics. But they wanted it to look a certain way, and you had to go. You had your desk in one cubicle area, and then you would go work in another area on a repair, and then a different repair section, and you're in cubicles the whole time. And when you look up, you can't see anybody. It's a horrible way to work. It's all about productivity. But I just want to tell you, Office Space is a great comedy. It's got really funny scenes. But if you never worked in cubicles, you might not get the joke. You might not get it. You might, like I said, Office Space, you can probably get it for $1. I saw it one time at Goodwill after I bought it, and I consider it a documentary. It's a comedy, but it's a documentary. I think that's it. All right, that's it for now.